Williams over the middle.
5
seconds and count.
4 3
Bears get set.
2
Williams spikes the way by Santos, and it is
Happy New Year.
My bad. Whoa. Welcome to the Treasure Tree Triple T Planters Podcast. I'm your host, Master Cheeze, and I'm joined with a very special guest today. I'm going to have him introduce himself, but the Bears got to win this weekend, and we're going to talk a lot about Bears football, some projections going on into next year, and see if we can talk about some draft picks and some coaching ideas. So take it away, Tim. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, my name's Tim. Thank you so much for letting me join your podcast, Brandon. You've been doing a great job the whole year. I've been watching it. This is a pivotal podcast for you. This is the last one, but a lot of good things to talk about. So let's get started.
Perfect. Okay, cool. Welcome to the Well, there's gonna be a lot of outtakes. Okay, cool. Appreciate it. Welcome to the podcast, Tim. I know I've been trying to get you on here for a while. The Bears season just wrapped up. We won. You know, Bears came out with a victory on a very bad, long overdue losing streak. What were your thoughts about the victory? Any points that you took away from the victory?
Well, obviously, 10-game losing streak. Maybe we lose in a row. On Sundays, it was like 21 games in a row, I think.
Ridiculous.
11 straight against the Packers we've lost.
Correct.
So, obviously, I think, I listened to Caleb, and he said that this was an internal victory for him, something that was needed for his development. So I think that was good. Who's even going to be on this team this year? Who's going to roll over? I don't know, but I think for the fans it was good. I think it would have been more important if it knocked the Packers out of the playoff race. That would have been nice. But overall, I liked the last 2-minute drill we did. I think everything worked perfectly. Defense played well throughout the whole game. Offense still needs a lot of work. I mean, we got a touchdown and a punt return. We got a short field.
Trick play.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's they're still a ways away right now. There's a lot of work to do, but the win was good.
That is 100% correct. The win was very important. I think that the Bears fans were ready to, hang themselves, to for lack of a better word. I don't condone doing any suicidal things, but it has been a very tough year for the Chicago Bears and the Chicago Bears fans. So seeing us being in a position that we've been in all year, close games, and being able to come out on top was a miracle. I don't know, maybe Derrick Rose might have broke the curse for us, because honestly, looking at the replay of how this kick came off, y'all can check it out with us. The ball kind of comes off wobbly. It could have got blocked, but by the grace of God, it went through. So definitely a positive outlook for him, and I agree with that. Honestly, watching this game in the beginning I kind of thought it was a waste of a game, really. It didn't really like the Packers were really trying to win the game. The Bears were giving it their all with the trick plays and showing different tempos and different looks, but this is more of the Bears playing harder than the Packers. And they also had to bring in their backup in, and they also lost a receiver to an ACL injury, Christian Watson, I believe. So a lot of things were going into the beginning part of that game, but the most important part that I do appreciate, as you spoke about, was Caleb Williams' development. Being able to construct a game-winning drive. I believe it's his first winning drive of his NFL career. So, a nice gutsy throw on the outside, keeping the clock from running, and then a great play design by the Bears with being able to get DJ Moore one-on-one on the inside and putting us in the field goal range. With that being said, who do you think will be the Bears head coach next year?
Well,
think nice and hard about this.
There's want and who I think is going to be the coach.
Okay.
Want is Vrabel. I think that Vrabel, to me, hands down, is the best candidate out there. There's to me, it's him and nobody else. If it was up to me, I think that McCaskey's need to open up their pocketbook because, as you know, the coach's salary doesn't go on the salary cap for the team. So the guy wants $10 million. I don't care. Pay him $10 million. You need to get him in here. The issue with him is that Patriots just fired their coach. What is his loyalties to Kraft? Brady is now part owner of the Raiders. Are they going to keep Pierce, or are they going to fire him and Brady's going to call Vrabel and be like, hey, come on over here? You know, you got the Jets. He already interviewed for the Jets. You know, that they don't have a lot over there, but you never know. I think the Bears are going to go after Ben Johnson. I do. I think that, to me, he's going to go to Jacksonville. I think that's where I'm picking for him to go.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Jacksonville.
I think he's going to Jacksonville. There's rumors out there he wants to bring his own GM.
Okay.
They have a head coach and a GM spot. Now let's break this down. Jacksonville pays. Chicago does not.
True.
Weather is a lot better there. What is, as a first head coach, what media is going to be a lot more intense? Chicago or Jacksonville? You know? He's got Trevor Lawrence. Lawrence is going to be in, third, fourth year? He's already signed. So he has his quarterback. Whether Trevor Lawrence is good, everyone's got different opinions on that. But
that's true.
He has a couple of playmakers there already for his offense. So It's about the same there. I just feel that as a first head coach, that Jacksonville job is more appealing, as the pressure will not be on as much. He's going to get paid probably whatever he wants. I really think the Bears are going to end up with one of these defensive coordinators as a head coach. I just see it happening. I don't know, I think it was Ian Rappaport tweeted that the Bears reached out to the Giants offensive coordinator for an interview. Just think about that for a second. The same guy who had Saquon Barkley and couldn't do anything with him.
No, it's disgusting.
Why entertain that? Why? So I think that they're just interviewing everybody because
Due diligence.
Due diligence. I get it 100%, but like, what do you? I don't know what their thought process is. Is Poles even going to stay on the team? Like, I don't know. You know, like, I don't know. I think we're gonna lose, and it's not gonna be good.
We're gonna lose
this coaching spot.
You're telling me we're gonna lose again in the offseason with coaches alone? First off, I want to say shout out to Virginia McCaskey. She turned 102. Her birthday was January 5th. She's also a Capricorn. I'm a Capricorn. My birthday is tomorrow, January 7th. So shout out to us. Just wanted to give out there. But you did bring up some good points about how the Bears don't like to pay. It seems that Virginia, being 100 years old, she's very traditional or whatever. I'm not here to defend her. I don't want nobody coming for me. But very traditional and kind of set in their ways. You know, older people are set in their ways regardless of what makes sense. But hopefully, as the time goes on, that the Bears will spend some money. Now, you spoke about Mike Vrabel, loyalties to the Patriots. You know, they did just fire their head coach. It looks like they would most likely make a push for him. I don't see another candidate that would kind of fit that culture. So I don't know if Mike Vrabel will be on the books for us. I like a defensive-minded coach that will help us. I think Ben Johnson is a good offensive coordinator. I don't think he's the answer for the Bears to the degree that he has a lot of powerhouse. You know, he does have, Goff there, who's a vet. He has a fast guy in Gibbs, and he has Montgomery. And he has a lot of great pieces. The Bears are broken a little bit, and we need a culture rechange, or a culture build. The fact that we're trying to interview a Giants anything is is telling me that we're not getting the big picture. We need to go after winners. We need to go after culture setters. And I'm hoping that through some revelation, there's some hidden coach out there that can kind of give us a run for our money. With that being said, the Bears are tough. I spoke about this on my previous podcast about Caleb Williams. This is the Windy City. This is not California. Bears fans get gritty and they get upset. You know, they got to wake up every day in negative degree weather, 20-degree weather around this time, and they're not really in the best mood. So we have to have somebody with thick skin, and we have to be able to get through that. Now, as far as for Caleb did show a lot of development. I see him being a very, very good quarterback going into next year. But we definitely need to put a great coach around him. Vrabel, Ben Johnson's, and any offensive coordinators, I'm hoping come to light. So my bet, I want Mike Vrabel to be here as well. He has been proven as a winner, but that may not be the case, and then I guess we'll have to see. With that being said, for Caleb Williams, what would you give him what would you give Caleb Williams' grade this year? I'm trying to think. With Matt Eberflus, without Matt Eberflus, what would you give Caleb Williams' grade?
Caleb Williams' grade. Mm-hmm. Or we could do with Thomas Brown with Shane Waldron. You know, I see a lot of bright spots with Caleb. I think his accuracy needs to improve. But they didn't utilize him to his full potential this year. They didn't let him call out any bootlegs. They didn't do a very good job at utilizing his strengths. I'm thinking of like a C- probably for Caleb. You know, he took care of the ball pretty well. However, a lot of his throws were overthrown. So was he not underthrowing him to get it picked? Was he worried about just throwing picks? Like, you know, as a quarterback, like as a rookie, you expect picks. They're learning. Like Peyton Manning threw, I think, 32 picks in his rookie year. I mean, it's something that's development that happens. So I would have rather seen Caleb more aggressive this year with that. Now, did they tell him not to be? I don't know. But I think a C-, you know, like over the year, he had those stretch of games with Thomas Brown as the offensive coordinator when Eberflus was still on the team, and you've seen the offense starting to make way. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, Eberflus gets fired and Thomas Brown is overwhelmed with his responsibilities. And obviously you've seen the lack of the offense wasn't focused enough. So unfortunately, I think that was a huge hit to his development. They should have just given the job to someone else and just let Brown focus with Caleb and developing him and getting the offense going. But I think, like you said, Caleb has a lot of strengths, and we need someone to come in here and develop him. And, you know, he needs to throw the ball to where the receiver is not going to not wait for him to get the receiver to get set and then throw the ball. His arm strength is great, but you can't rely on your arm strength, you know, in the NFL every single play.
That's funny you say that, because I agree, because Caleb's arm strength is maybe one of his strong suits. You gave him a C-. I think I'm giving him closer to like more of a C. Really based off that last victory. That kind of jumped him up a little bit. But the mechanics that he has now are not really good for someone to have longevity in the NFL. And this is something I kind of focus on as a therapist, is that, you know, your mechanics are really, let's say a baseball player, right? He comes out and he's reeling and dealing, throwing 98, you know, 100 miles per hour. Tommy John surgery is a major blow to these MLB players, and it's because they don't necessarily know how to control that torque on certain joints. So for Caleb Williams' arm strength, he really needs to be coached up how to use it and when not to use it, and I think that would make him a better quarterback. Maybe he might have to go find somebody in the offseason, because it's going to be hard for coaches to do that for him. Now, as far as for the interim coach, I really liked how he stayed with Caleb through the ups and downs, and I really hope that he stays with the Bears, maybe to some capacity as a QB coach. I know that it'd be kind of a downgrade, but when people bring in new coaches, they have to change out their staff and bring in who they want. But it's going to hurt Caleb's development even more not having him there, I feel like. So that's just a point I wanted to add. But for Caleb, he has the offseason to get a little bit more serious. He had probably the worst season you can have as a rookie, as far as like ups and downs and like really feeling like you suck or you're not enough, but still being able to come out on top at the end. So I see there being no ceiling for Caleb. I can see him being a Pro Bowler next year, and that's kind of a crazy take. But with his ability to run and see the offense get a little bit better with that arm strength, I think the hardest part that he had that separated him was his inability to connect on deep throws. He would throw a lot of deep throws, but he didn't really connect. And I think that even if he cleans that up next year, maybe add 10%, 20% to that, we're talking about another 5-6 touchdowns added to his bag. So that's the part I wanted to add for Caleb. But Caleb gets a C for me. I don't think. A lot of people are talking about him getting Rookie of the Year. Now, this is the part that I'm not confused about. Like, the record sucks. And I think overall, when you give recognition to quarterbacks or NFL-like credentials or accolades, you got to kind of be in a winning culture. So do you think Caleb deserves Rookie of the Year? Like, it's a lot of Bears fans. I know he had 3,000 plus yards. I know his stats. We'll read them off in a second. But do you think Caleb deserves Rookie of the Year?
I don't think he was good enough for Rookie of the Year. I think it's going to go to Daniels. I just think that, was his stats great for Rookie of the Year? No. He got a lot of publicity though. Everyone was really on the Daniels train. Mm-hmm. Neighbors, I think, has a chance of getting Rookie of the Year also from the Giants.
Yeah. I
think he does.
He had a real nice late push.
Yes. His last quarter of the season, he really turned it up with not a lot of help, and his quarterbacks weren't that good. But I think it's going to be Daniels. If you compare Caleb and Daniels' stats, they're very close, and you'd be very surprised because the way they've been pushing Daniels. But I just think Daniels was just coached better. I mean, Cliff Kingsbury really designed plays for his strengths, and they really just cut the field in half for him, and they did what they needed to do to develop him and get that team where it needed to go.
So no for Caleb as well. Caleb does not deserve Rookie of the Year. The fact that you did not beat Jaden Daniels in the season just kind of is another blow, and he started out hot. So regardless if Caleb has similar stats, they've already given it to him early in the season, and Caleb hasn't done enough to really take it away from him. I think Bo Nix is also someone you can throw in there. He had a really good year. We're just going to look at a couple of stats, and I'll try to flash them up for you all. Jaden Daniels put up 3,568 yards through the air. Looking at his interceptions, he had 9 interceptions. So 9 interceptions isn't bad, and he was sacked 47 times. So showing rookie numbers, but Caleb was right behind him. You're going to be screwed. This stat's kind of crazy. Actually, I'm going to put it at the top so you ought to see this. This stat is kind of crazy. So, again, as I spoke to you all about it early in the season, Caleb Williams was the most sacked quarterback. But before we get to that, he put up 3,541 yards in the air. He had 20 total touchdowns, and he had 6 interceptions. But the crazy stat of it all is he was sacked 68 times. The closest person behind him at 52 is C.J. Stroud. That's huge. That's a big gap when you're thinking about how many sacks that is per game. Like, having 4 sacks in a game is like 1 game. So the difference in that is another 16 sacks. That's 4 game sacks difference. That's kind of crazy. And he has to clean that up. And his QBR was 46.7 this year. So nasty work. The numbers are okay, not the best. But Caleb Williams, you got some work to do, buddy. All right. So the Bears won their last game, and they put themselves in a position. They knocked themselves from being 7th, I believe, to 10th in the draft order. What priorities do you feel that the Bears really need to address, regardless outside of the first round? Like, what priorities would you go for after the first and second round for the Chicago Bears?
Priorities for this draft. We have 3 picks in the first 37, I think, 38 picks, something like that. Offensive line. So
all offensive line.
We only have Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright returning from this line. Borum's a free agent. Tevin Jenkins is a free agent. Shelton's a free agent. Pryor is a free agent. It's just this whole line. I'm sorry, the rookie too. The left tackle rookie. Forgot his name. He'll be returning. Is he going to start? I don't know. He showed flashes of, I can't do this job, but we'll see.
He showed flashes.
Yeah. We have to look at a lot of things. I wouldn't touch receiver. I think that even if Allen doesn't come back, we have more. We have Adunze. Let's not forget about Carter. He stepped in when Allen was hurt, and he did very well. He got injured. I don't know what's going to happen with Scott, but we didn't really see him. I think he was just doing special teams this year. I think receiver's fine for right now. You can spend little money on that to get another fourth guy. Mm-hmm. But what everyone's saying, pass rusher. I don't think we need a pass rusher, to be honest with you. I think our pass rush was actually okay. When Billings went out, we felt it. I think getting a big defensive nose tackle that has some weight and can really block up that interior, I think is crucial. Mm-hmm. You also have to look at our linebackers that are getting older. Edmonds and Edwards and Edmonds are aging. Sandbro, he's a free agent now. Is he going to come back? I don't know. So we might need a linebacker, something to look at. Corner, are we going to keep Stevenson or are we not? I don't know. They're going to trade him. What they want to do.
Do you like Stevenson? That's the real question.
His play is decent. His immaturity is concerning right now. Yeah. And I think having a coach that's going to hold players accountable, I think, could help fix that. Mm-hmm. I think drafting possibly a corner late could help, but I think focus on the trenches. You just got to focus on the offensive line. Caleb he's gonna get hurt if you have another season like this. I mean, it's miraculously he didn't really get injured this year. But another year of that, it'll be bad. He said he's gonna focus on his strength, but
no, he ain't getting too much bigger.
Yeah, he's already a big guy. Like if you look, Caleb is solid. Like his lower body is very solid. I mean, I don't know how much bigger he's gonna get.
Right.
But we need to get offensive linemen, man. I'm not saying the first 3 picks need to be line because I don't think the draft is strong enough for that. Mm-hmm. But we need to get line, whether it's free agent or not. I think they have $85 million under the salary cap. So spend the money. Let's go. Let's get some players in here, man.
As Tim just said, spend the money. All right, we're trying to spend the money. Speaking of money, the first piece we want to speak about Keenan Allen. I'm just pulling this up for you all. Get some context. Keenan Allen he made $18 million. The contract amounts for 2024 to carry a cap hit of $23 million and dead cap value of $5 million. So as per the terms of Keenan Allen's current contract, he has an average annual salary of $20 million. That's Keenan Allen here, guys. So I like Keenan Allen. I think we're paying him too much in terms of what our needs are. I think he was kind of inconsistent this year, but I think he picked it up toward the end. If he can come back with a little bit less on the books, I think that'd be nice for us. But looking at the Bears pick, you were correct. We have about 3 picks. I think within the 43 range. So 3 picks in the 43 range. Offensive lineman, we have a projection. They're projecting the LSU lineman, offensive line, to go to the Bears. So that's not a bad look. LSU is a good culture, been a powerhouse for a while. So that'd be nice for Will Campbell to come over. But we'll see what they do with that. As far as for linebackers and defense, I don't know, man. It's up in the air. I don't even know how to even start there because the coach is going to matter and projection-wise. So we have Swift. I don't know if with the backup we'll do with that. Got a quarterback, some offensive linemen. I think the biggest thing, like you said, if we can go grab 2 offensive linemen, that'll really help the Bears secure it, in addition to the new coach that we'll probably get. So, but what are your thoughts about Stevenson? Do you think – you said he was a little bit immature. Do you want to keep him along with Jalen Johnson? What about our safeties? Because I know you spoke a lot about our defensive backs coming into the year, mid-season, when I believe Brisker had a concussion. What are you thinking as far as the safety? Do we keep these same group of guys? Are we strong enough? Or do you just want to do some drafting and pick up some free agents?
Secondary. Honestly, we need to find out what's going on with Brisker. What's going on? Like, they're not saying anything. Like, He's continually out. This is his third concussion. Like, is it going to be okay? Like, obviously, we care about him as a person first before football, but is it going to be returning? To me, the most improved player on the Bears this year was Gordon. I really think that, like, he really stepped up his game this year, and is not afraid to come up and lay a hit down on somebody. I love Gordon. Is he good in the position, or can we move him to safety with Brisker? I don't know. Owens didn't impress me this year. Bird didn't really impress me this year. Yeah, he had the big hit yesterday causing the fumble. But I didn't see a lot from him this year. Jalen Johnson, if we trade him, what are you going to get for Jalen Johnson? He's getting paid now, so they're going to have to take on that contract. What are we going to get, a third round for him? Are we even going to get a second round? Is this draft, are you trying to get the pick in this draft?
Pro Bowler, though. Jalen's a Pro Bowler.
He is. Jalen's a Pro Bowler. I think I would hold on to Jalen. Stevenson, I think he has potential. He does make plays. I think a new coach coming in will help his maturity, and I would keep those two. I think those two, you need to have corners in this league, especially with the passing offenses. So I would keep those two. I would definitely draft a safety, depending on how you're going to play Gordon, if he's going to go to safety or stay as a corner. Nickel cornerback. Yeah.
That's funny. You mentioned to me about Brisker before, about his injury with the concussion, and I didn't talk much about the concussion spot. When I had Brian on the podcast, physical therapist, we didn't talk much about the concussions, but just to put in terms, like, concussion is just like a rattling of the brain in the skull, and sometimes people are able to bounce back and not have it progress and make it like a consistent thing, similar to how Tua for the Miami Dolphins is. I don't really know his situation, what he has going on. All I know is how you really prevent it. For example, I was a safety in college. I played football, and the biggest thing I focused on was my neck. Pause. Because, having a decent structure helps soften the blow.
Hey, yo.
Pause again. From when you're like making contact or hitting someone. As a safety, you got to be reckless, and you got to have no fear, and you got to be able to come up and hit somebody. So if you're having consistent concussions, it's going to kind of slow you down a little bit and throw you off. So I think it's good that he kind of got shut down. I think he should be fresh by next year, strengthen and help his brain heal up a little bit. But the biggest thing for me, I don't understand these guys in the NFL. They go through concussions, but they don't wear mouthpieces. Some studies say it works. Some studies say it doesn't work. I just don't understand. If you're having concussions, you should be required to wear a mouthpiece. Like, it's just something added versus it's better. Something's better than nothing to me. So I'm hoping that he comes back pretty good next year and clear out his issues for that safety position. But like you mentioned, we got a couple good pieces. They got to come together. I think Jalen Johnson is the leader of the Bears secondary. He, was one of the main reasons why Eberflus was released. Him being upset in that locker room, and guys supported him and backed him up. He is a Pro Bowler. He's proven himself a little bit. So we got to see what happens with the coaching staff to see what kind of defense that they implement, and as he moves these pieces around. So I look forward to that. All in all, the Bears get a grade from me of a D- going into the year. That bye week was like a glitch in the Matrix. All the wheels were turning, but that bye week really hurt the Bears, and that set us back. In addition to us being cursed, but like I said, I really think the Bears are cursed until they brought back D Rose. I don't know if Lovie Smith should come back to some degree too. Just bless the locker room and just kind of apologize of the ill will or whatever issues that we have going on. But as far as for our conference wise, I do want to speak about the playoff picture.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs?
The tough part about the Bears is that we are one of the hardest divisions in the NFL. We have to appreciate that we are in a very tough conference. So going into it next year, we have to go up against the Lions, the Vikings, and the Packers again and again. What do you see? Who do you see the Super Bowl champions, or who do you see coming out into the Super Bowl this year, facing on both sides, AFC, NFC. Give me your projections. I'll list to you the teams that are in playoff. Playoff schedule so far. We got the Chargers versus the Texans, Steelers versus the Ravens, Broncos versus the Bills, Packers versus the Eagles, Commanders versus the Buccaneers, Vikings versus the Rams, and Kansas City and the Lions have a first round bye. Out of these rounds, who do you feel will win the Chargers, Texans, Steelers, Ravens game?
I think that Baltimore Ravens will win.
Okay.
And the Chargers will probably win also.
Ooh, I agree. I think the Texans might win that game.
Texans have not been playing very well.
They have been boo-boo.
I think that their division, the not being strong, has helped them throughout this year. They've definitely had a little setback from last year. Don't sleep on Denver, I'm telling you right now. But I don't see Josh Allen losing at home. I just don't.
Packers versus Eagles.
Eagles. We don't know if Jordan Love's playing. Eagles are going to be rested. The Packers, their record's good, but their play has not been what their record is. So I see them getting bounced. I think Barkley's going to run all over them. Minnesota and the Rams. I'm taking the Rams.
Ooh.
I think there's an upset there.
Ooh, okay. There has to be an upset.
Rams are at home. I have a feeling that their loss last night is really gonna hurt them more than what people think.
Yes.
I think Stafford's gonna come out at home and he's gonna want to sling that ball to Nakua and Coop. So watch out for the Rams just for this game. I don't know if they're gonna, but I think they're gonna upset Minnesota.
What about the Buccaneers-Washington game? I think that's a bit 50-50 for me.
What's funny is I called that Buccaneers upset last year in that first round, and I think they're going to do it again. I think they're going to take out Washington. I think that's going to be a high-scoring game, but that's what Baker wants, and I think that you're going to see the Baker to Evans show. Washington's secondary is not that good. Latimer came over in a trade, but he hasn't played a lot. And if he's not healthy, it's going to be game over. Baker's just going to feast on them.
Rams upsetting the Vikings is the crazy upset that I think that could happen. And watching the Lions game last night against the Vikings, I think the Vikings were trying their best to give them everything that they had. But the Lions just kept punching them in the mouth. And the one thing the Vikings have to be able to do, you have to be able to run the ball. Like, time and time again, even with the Buffalo Bills, like, we know Josh Allen has a cannon of an arm. There's a reason why he's not in the Super Bowl. You have to be able to run the ball in the trenches. You have to be able to get those yards, and you cannot just throw all the time. Defenses can sit on these routes, double team your best player, you overthrow a couple balls here and there. It's tough. Now, Sam Darnold, he's due for a big payday this year. I don't think he necessarily should get it from the Vikings. I think they're smart. They'll move on from him and keep JJ because they're going to be in the same situation they had with Kirk Cousins. But with that being said, I see the Rams can also beat the Vikings. I think the Vikings record is really good, but I don't think that it's adversity good. The thing about the Lions is that they've been here before. They're coming back before. They had their first round exits. Now they're hungry. They're ready. They've weathered the storm. The Vikings are still fresh. They're anew. They're coming through. Now, as far as for the Buccaneers and Washington Commanders game, Jane Daniels is a rookie, and I think that's the biggest thing. Rookie, different atmosphere, a lot of noise, and you got to go to the Buccaneers, correct? And Baker Mayfield, he's also been in these moments before. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. But I'm excited. The biggest thing I'm excited about to see who can come out of the AFC, because you got the Buffalo Bills, you got the Ravens, and you got Kansas City. So they always give us a thriller every year. I'm hoping that the Lions kind of come out on this side. I know that there are rivals in our division, but the Lions suck for a long time, man. So, the Bears suck for a long time too, but the Lions really need it more than we do. So I'm not opposed to them winning, but not the Packers. So sorry, no Packers here. But on that note, I think we've got a lot of content spoken about. Tim, is there anything in particular that you want to bring up or, off your chest and let the audience know as we close out this 2024-2025 NFL season?
I think we just need to look at the quote. I don't know if Poles or Warren said, but they're looking for a leader of men. Okay? Let's think about that quote just for a second. A college special teams coach, is he supposed to be a leader of men? Yes. Any coach is supposed to be a leader of men in professional sports. So, do they know what they're doing? Like, is Eberflus, was he not a leader of men? Did they not acknowledge that, like, in the beginning, or what was going on? But
Shane. What about Shane? Talk to me about Shane. Was he a leader of men?
Are you talking about no emotion, Shane? I just don't understand how that got messed up. Thomas Brown was the quarterback's coach, but he didn't speak to Caleb at all until Shane was fired. So what was Shane? Did Shane tell Thomas Brown not to talk to Caleb? What kind of control was going on? Was Eberflus not paying attention to what was going on? I mean, Eberflus bought Thomas Brown over from the Colts. He knew him. Why would he allow him to get blocked out of helping Caleb progress? There was a lot of going on there. I also spoke to, this was a clubhouse of, what'd they say, the players were allowed to manage the clubhouse, it sounded like, right? So think about the last time the Bears were in the Super Bowl with Lovie Smith, and now think about who he had. He had Ron Rivera, right? But who was the offense coordinator of that team?
I don't remember.
Nobody remembers, right?
I don't remember.
Our offense was horrible, but our defense carried, and special teams. I think what I'm really trying to say is that the leaders on that Super Bowl team were ridiculous. You had Urlacher, you had Olin Kreutz. I mean, you had Mike Brown. You had guys that were vocal and kept people
Accountable.
Yeah, accountable. On this team, you don't have those leaders. You have vocal leaders, but all I keep hearing is, well, we can't make guys do things. We tell them, but we can't make them. So I think the whole approach of this locker room was just a joke, and you need to be looking for more than a leader of men. That's all I got to say about that.
So in terms of the Bears being what the Bears need to be, leader of men is not enough. Leader of men is not enough. And I like how you brought back, I know you're rocking the jersey, the B Marsh jersey,
B-Marsh.
That was the days when, shout out to Cutler too, although he got a lot going on, he definitely is a Bear. He broke some records, but overall the Bears made the Super Bowl because they had a good locker room of men that kept everybody accountable. There is a new day and age where people don't like to be told that they're wrong. There's a new day and age where people don't like to be held accountable. But the teams that keep that intact, like the Mike Vrabels, I'm guessing that's what he's going to try to do. Or, the Andy Reids of the world. Those are the people that win. So, all in all, Bears need to set the culture again. I wouldn't mind Urlacher coming back, Briggs coming back, Hester coming back, similar to what they did with D Rose. I'm telling you, D Rose might have broke the curse. Just bringing back these previous winners, help set the culture, reconnect, get things back to where it was, and let's sail into the sunset and see what happens. That's what I see with the Bears, and hopefully, next year I'm on the podcast, we're in the W section and not for a 4 or 5 win season. So on that note, the last piece I do want to speak about is Nick Chubbs. We did follow his injuries. He did come back from an ACL tear with a couple things, and he ended up being out for the rest of this year with a broken foot. I'm going to try to break that down a little bit so you guys can understand why that could have happened. And then, it all ties back to neurological compensations, and a lot of these NFL players need to address that. But until then, we're going to wrap this up. We try to keep the podcast nice and short. I like to say shout out to Tim for hopping in on the podcast. Appreciate you coming in. He had a lot of good insight, a lot of pieces of information that now I'm not as connected with, providing some information about the offensive linemen and, the books that the Bears have to take into account. So on that note, we will conclude the podcast. Happy New Year. Again, happy birthday to all the Capricorns out there. Y'all be safe. Stay tuned. Treasure Tree Therapy, planting seeds today for future generation success. Bloop.